Getting back to the blame game, one of the important things to be on the lookout for in this brief period of time is how narratives get set. You've seen like Joe Scarborough say, oh, the reason is because of wokeness, which
Maureen
is
Dowd told me.
absurd. Absurd. And here is a literal 3-time campaign loser. This guy lost with Al Gore. This guy lost with Hillary Clinton. And he also advised Kamala Harris. And here he is to tell you that it's not his fault that Al Gore and Hillary Clinton and Kamala Harris lost. It's your fault that they lost.
Yeah, that afraid to say it.
Yeah.
Do you think that that really fundamentally tells the story of why Democrats were broadly rejected here? I mean, insert whatever issue into that rubric, afraid to say things about the border, about trans rights, about some of these other cultural things?
Well, I mean, the border is not fair because the border is a wicked problem with legitimate differences of opinion. And frankly, no one's had a particularly good answer to it. And I don't think Donald Trump in his second try is going to have a good one. On the other cultural stuff, and I don't even know how to refer to it without saying something, again, I'm afraid to say something wrong, but the woke stuff, the PC police stuff, you'll see Republicans who say they're afraid to say X. I'm afraid to say X. These congressmen are afraid to say X. Why? Why afraid to say X? It should be afraid if it's something stupid and hateful and makes someone feel that they don't belong. But saying I don't agree with you or saying that's not representative of the bulk of us, it's like Medicare for all is not something that the bulk of the Democratic Party believes in. But yet we spend tons of time.
Hold on for 1 second. On it. I mean, I hate to nitpick. He's only using one example. You know, there are certain things that he can't say that he's afraid of saying. He's not running for office. He's not running for office. Right. Say it. You know, maybe it's your temerity that is the problem.
True.
Maybe it's your temerity, but let's just look at the data about, what was it that he said, Medicare for all?
Which is woke.
Now,
That woke stuff. Giving people
I love
healthcare.
the fact that, like, well, the immigration stuff, that's complicated, but Medicare for all, that's a straightforward, no winner for, do you put this up, Bradley? Yeah, I did. It was sent to, it was in the thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is all about him, his fear of, like getting canceled or something like that, projecting that onto the race. It's ridiculous to even say that there's any wokeness or issues involved.
But Medicare for all is
Here.
like, that's just.
I just sent it. I just sent it to you.
Every Democrat has run on healthcare, like that has won in like my lifetime.
Yeah.
You're just thinking of Obama and of Clinton and of Biden, to be fair, did not run it.
Didn't he have stuff in the platform? But
Medicare for all, and this is, granted, this is from 2019. Maybe things have radically changed. I don't know why they would have. People don't really talk about it that much. 87% of Democrats, Medicare for all. 83% of Democrats, universal health care coverage. 87% of Democrats, 87 national health care plan. Now, okay, but what about independents? 63% Medicare for all. 63% universal health coverage. 59% health plan. The numbers are a little bit lower when you say single payer health insurance system, but guess what Medicare for all is? A single payer health insurance.
and you still get
Even socialized medicine gets you 46%.
And 3/4 of Democrats.
Yeah.
I mean, he just is doing
that, like, you couldn't like make it sound more scary to, all right, but
he's giving the game away there by saying it's a woke policy because he just wanted to blame the left. And
right. That's the whole point of us playing this is you must watch out and call because this guy has lost 3 times 3 times. And how does he make sure that he has a 4th crack at this? The problem is the left. The problem is the left.
Josh Shapiro, hire me.
Medicare for all is not something that the bulk of the Democratic Party believes in, but yet
I don't
we spend
think so.
tons of time on it. Now, on immigration, there are people who do believe.
Pause it for 1 second. I should also just be clear that the words Medicare for all probably haven't been mentioned outside of like maybe out of our mouths, people similarly situated. But I don't remember a single Democrat saying the words Medicare for all in the past 3 months.
He remembers Kamala Harris saying it back when she was trying to run in that 2020 primary, where she was a co-sponsor when she joined the Senate because she wanted to appeal at least to the left to win that primary. It didn't end up working out for her. But like, you hear these are the kinds of voices that all these Democrats are listening to. They're saying that was a massive liability for her that she should have abandoned.
Biden said he'd veto Medicare for all, but he also said he would be offering a new public option available to those in the individual market or without employer coverage.
Now, on immigration, there are people who do believe, and I think I buy into it, that part of the problem we've had as Democrats is that we have gotten pulled to the left so far that we can't make common sense decisions. And I worked for Hillary, and she had to contend with Bernie.
She had to contend with
went
Bernie.
After Biden, I shouldn't say went after. He entered the primary. There's no evidence that the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party has met with any success or represents this.
Pause it
party.
again. This is
Yet.
Philip Reines, is his name, Reines, and he has worked on 3 losing campaigns. And the problem was Bernie Sanders in 2016 for Hillary Clinton, according to him. Well, you know what? Bernie Sanders also ran in 2020. And what did Biden do? Embrace Sanders' pro-labor positions and won. Continue.
Entered the primary. There's no evidence that the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party has met with any success or represents this party. Yet, we're going to go ahead and we're going to continue every time someone on the hard left says, you can't do that. We're all going to paralyze. I mean, I don't know.
I'm glad we're in his head.
The answer is for people to start saying what they say on, WhatsApp and Twitter and whatever it is, that this is enough already. People can't. The PC police doesn't just apply to Republicans. It applies to, I don't know what I'd call myself. I just call myself a Democrat. I'm not a progressive. I'm not a lefty. I think I'm to the right of some Republicans on some topics.
Okay.
But
I have no doubt.
General.
I know
have
you
no
want to
doubt,
feel like a good person, and that's what this entire conversation is about, which is that he's uncomfortable. He wishes that he could be more anti-woke, and he's to the right of Republicans on some things. But I'm sorry, it's not working out for you. It's diminishing returns, this stupid-ass argument. When Harris ran refusing to address her gender or race, ran on I prosecute transnational guns, gangs with dealing in drugs and human beings or whatever, ran on having a gun. Like, he's terrified because he knows that he has diminishing returns on his very argument.
The point should be fingered at. The point should be pointed at. The finger should be pointed at people like him. And
Oh my God! Well, there's 2 sets of. He represents 2 sets of people that are highly problematic. One is he is a paid Democratic consultant, and he sucks at his job. He's good at going out and making excuses why he sucks at his job, but that's all he's good at. If you lose 3 times in campaigns like this, you should not get hired again. Period. End of story. He's good at getting out on CNN and blaming people after the fact, but he ain't good at doing anything before then. And I would also suggest that if you are a Democrat and it has nothing to do with your positions, that it like I'm to the right of Republicans on a bunch of things. Like, what is for this guy? It is literally Coke and Pepsi. Now, Democratic Party, Republican Party, They are the really, at least on a national level, when we're talking the presidency, arguably certain Senate races and whatnot, and arguably in House races. But really just in terms of the presidency, they are one or two vehicles that are going to be the president. And it is one thing to say, like, okay, on balance, this vehicle is more representative of my political aspirations than another. But his whole thing is like, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm a Democrat. That's it. Is absurd. The idea that politics mean nothing, that what your idea of what a series of policy positions mean nothing, is exactly what this guy is trying to sell. And it's bullshit. And it's ineffective. He's lost 3 times. Let's just go with whether you win or not. Then we can make assessments about the policies. But the idea that political correctness played a role in this, I will tell you, to the extent that political correctness played a role in this, it is simply a way of people expressing and being able to do the mental gymnastics that are necessary for their uncomfortability with a woman or a black person as president. This is not to say that Kamala Harris was the optimal candidate. It's not to say that anything like that. But there are also a lot of people who, when they hear a woman speak, think like, okay, maybe not, doesn't make as much sense. Are they conscious of the fact that they're doing that because it's a woman? No. Are they conscious of the fact that they're doing this because it's a black person? No. The reason why they called Barack Obama Muslim was because they could not feel comfortable saying he's too black. The reason why they talk about Kamala Harris being woke or PC or, overly aggressive with transgenderism is because they can't say she's a woman.
Black woman, too.
They can't say she's black. And the reason why the same words coming out of Kamala Harris's mouth are received differently than the same words coming out of Joe Biden's mouth, not wholly, because they each also have, individual records, and you can believe one and not the other, and this and that. But in terms of competence or whatever it is because there is a bias that lives within people, particularly in the context of our society, against women and black people, and particularly in terms of position of leadership. Was that the determining factor? I think there were a lot of factors that contributed to this, but that's obviously one of them. And when this guy's saying woke and PC, what is he talking about?
Well, that's what her whole strategy was, an attempt to head off in many ways. I won't say I'm a woman. I won't say I'm a black woman. And it turns out this country has deep problems with both. And they, it's the jarring nature of his lack of competence this time around, Donald Trump, how he can't stay on message at all, how the campaign really has nothing to offer except grievance. In 2016, you could talk a little bit about the trade and the anti-TPP stuff and, the anti-corruption thing he was hitting. I mean, that kind of stuff, he hasn't even really returned to that well. So that's, I think, what is so jarring about this loss is like she did destroy him in the debate on all metrics in terms of competence. She ran circles around him, and it still doesn't matter because inherently people trust him a little bit more. And why is that? That's a big part of it. But it's also the reason that was able to take hold. The bigger problem is the systemic issues with the Democratic Party, which is that if you offer people something more definitive, then it gives them fewer excuses to tune out to what she has to. I mean, and maybe it was the die was cast with her as the messenger. I don't know, but it gives them an excuse to tune out. and not listen if the Democrats don't have as much definitive to offer.
I mean, Trump promised we could do mass deportations and it would solve your cost of living crisis. What was Harris offering? And like, I have a problem with, I can't remember what his name is, A New Republic, but weren't they bothered by Trump as a convicted felon and an adjudicated rapist? Didn't the invocation of violence against Liz Cheney or 50 other examples? People aren't paying attention to any of this. And people that make the news need to understand how rarely people actually tune into this stuff and not expect it to carry the day.
Well, they were paying attention when he went on Joe Rogan and said that I want to see her knock her out on the floor. So, I mean, some people, I guess, but like, how many people watched the full 3 hours of him on Joe Rogan, even among Joe Rogan fans? Like, I don't think that people are paying attention to that stuff compared to what they're seeing in their actual life. I just think his message matters just as much as what the Democrats' lack of message does. And there were like 2 or 3 discernible things that were in that campaign. It was extreme nativism and anti-immigration. And then the second I would say would be anti-woman. Like from the jump, they initially were saying, she slept her way to the top with Willie Brown. There were calls trying to get right-wing influencers to call her a slut. And then the whole cat ladies thing, he picked J.D. Vance despite all of that. And the fact that abortion was on the ballot, like David Dayen said this when he said that we're too hamstrung by polling and like what people say. Because sometimes when men vote against a woman, they'll say the economy, and that's just a shorthand for I don't want to vote against the woman. And that's not to take away from like the pain that people are feeling and the fact that the Democrats have to offer more. But it's also just to like talk about the multifaceted nature of this far right movement that Donald Trump represents.
I think, yeah, it's and sometimes it's hard to sort of disaggregate these things. Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.